Welcome back. You're watching live coverage here from the 153rd Cumberland Fair here on ARC Maine on Fox 23. I'm Jeff Peterson. Well, for well over 100 years, the Cumberland Fair has ended on a Saturday, and the Fryeburg Fair has started on a Sunday. And you look at all the souvenir stands and all the food items right here at the Cumberland Fair. It's a tradition, to say the least. Well, coming up this Saturday, that tradition is coming to an end because the Fryeburg Fair is starting a day early, overlapping with the Cumberland Fair. It's set off months and months of a fair fight and a question of fairness.
Which one of all here on this wall do you think really signifies what this is the Cumberland Fair?
I think they all do, frankly. You know, this is our tradition. This is how we flow, how we keep things going.
Except for canceling in 1919 and 1920 because of the Spanish influenza and World War I and COVID in 2020, the Cumberland Fair has weathered every storm that's hit them. Then, starting a couple of years ago, a disturbance started brewing around 50 miles away, a disturbance that's set to hit on September 27th.
Fryeburg came to us and asked us if they could take that day, and frankly, we said no. And then it's continued since then. We actually saw that they were advertising that they were going to open September 27th, 2025. Back in 2024.
Last March, the fair fight became more public when many news organizations brought it to light, including us here at CBS 13 and Fox 23. Cumberland Fair claims the Fryeburg Fair wants to open early to make more money, but at the expense of the Cumberland Fair.
They're opening on our closing day, which is historically the largest day that we have during the Cumberland Fair.
So a few weeks later, with reps from all 25 fairs in the same room, everything came to a head. While Cumberland protested, Fryeburg threw everyone a proverbial curveball.
We had conversations with them, didn't go anywhere. And then this past April was when our fair dates conference or decision with the Department of Agriculture, Forestry, and Conservation came in, and they chose not to apply for the date.
Fryeburg's plan? To be an unlicensed fair this Saturday, meaning they could still open, but not get any state funds for that specific day.
We presented a great case, no doubt about it. Commissioner of Agriculture seemed to, be receptive to it, but ultimately, the way that the statutes are written, the commissioner does not have the ability to say you can't open if they haven't applied for the date.
As for the other days, in a statement issued back in May from the Maine Department of Agriculture, they added in part, quote, unless and until damage to another fair is documented and demonstrated, the commissioner sees no authority under which she can take the preemptive action regarding Fryeburg's license dates or stipend payments. Meanwhile, because both fairs have shared resources, including food and merchandise vendors, having Fryeburg opening early meant that those vendors had to choose between the two. Ultimately, over a dozen vendors chose the bigger fair in Fryeburg, so Cumberland had to scramble, because according to them, around 30% of their profit is based on food and merchandise sales.
Have you had conversations with them, called them on the phone, emailed, anything like that? And what was the
reaction? There's been lots of conversation. I'll just leave it at that.
The good news, with some extra work over the past few months, the commercial vendors superintendent says each vendor that was lost to Fryeburg has now been replaced.
We have learned that we can step up and rise above. And
Cumberland Fair officials admit, despite all the issues, it will make them better in the long run.
To the general public that hasn't heard anything about the difficulties that we've been going through, they're not going to know. They're going to know that they're at one of the best fairs in the state of Maine.
And we do have a statement coming from the Fryeburg Fair from President Dave Hastings. He said, quote, we have asked vendors participating in Fryeburg Fair and Cumberland Fair, and there are just a few, to come late to Fryeburg. As always, the same applies to livestock exhibitors. Nothing has changed there. Vendors and exhibitors do not have to pick and choose between our two fairs. There is no issue. Several Maine fairs overlap in dates. It is important to the economics of Maine fairs not to leave weekend dates unused, and that fact is the reason we expanded from 8 to 9 days. Thank you. Joining me right now to talk about, again, the fair fight that's been going on right now is Liz Tarantino. She's the secretary of the Cumberland Fair. You've been involved in this fair forever. What's your response to the quote?
Well, it's the same statement that they've been making all along, and frankly, there is an issue, and we know that there's an issue. Yes, there are other fairs that overlap in the state, but they're not 52 miles apart. They're hundreds of miles apart, or they've come to an agreement, and that certainly hasn't happened with the two of us.
Now, besides you two, there are 23 other farms in the state. I mean, one of the things, too, you don't want to set precedent for the future, right?
That's exactly right. You know, we're coming out strong. We came ahead, we worked really hard to make this the best fair we could possibly make it, but a smaller fair might not survive.
What's been the public response and the response from the other fairs with this whole thing?
We've had an amazing amount of support for Cumberland Fair and an amazing amount of disdain for the lack of fairness from Fryeburg.
Now, what would have happened if you couldn't replace the vendors? I mean, this is a major part of your fair when it comes to food, when it comes to merch. I don't know if you can put a dollar amount on it, but what that would have meant if you wouldn't have been able to go get replacements.
I can't put a dollar amount on it, but it would have left some big gaping holes within the fair. You know, it's all about the full experience. We're all about the agricultural education. That's really what we're here for. But people come to the fair to have the whole thing. They want to have all the great food. They want to be able to buy really cool stuff. And if we hadn't been able to replace those vendors, we certainly would have had some huge holes within our fair.
And one last thing, this is not the end of this, right?
It isn't the end of it. You know, we're tracking everything that's going on, and we're watching out, and, you know, we'll see where it can go from here.
Sounds good. All right, Liz Torrentina from the Cumberland Fair, thank you, and good luck for the rest of the week.
Thank you.
Hopefully I have some huge crowds. Again, the gates are open, ready to go.
Yeah.